Reaching the age of 70 is a major life milestone that often brings clarity about what truly matters. Among the many realizations that come with aging, one of the most vital is the importance of emotional peace. After decades of hard work, raising families, managing careers, and navigating life's highs and lows, most seniors find themselves craving simplicity, stability, and inner calm. Emotional peace becomes not just a preference but a necessity for maintaining overall health and well-being. At this stage in life, mental energy is a valuable resource. Unlike in younger years, when one might have had the patience or endurance to tolerate difficult personalities or emotional chaos, older adults often develop a clearer sense of their limits. They realize that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every person deserves continued access to their inner circle. Emotional peace, therefore, means removing the people and situations that constantly create unnecessary stress, anxiety, or tension. There's also a physiological reason for prioritizing peace. The brain and body become more sensitive to stress with age. Chronic stress has been linked to numerous health problems in seniors, including high blood pressure, sleep disorders, weakened immunity, and cognitive decline. By fostering a peaceful environment both internally and externally, older adults can better protect their health and prolong their vitality. Emotional peace also enhances quality of life. Without the burden of toxic relationships, seniors often find they have more time and energy to invest in activities that bring genuine joy. Spending time with grandchildren, gardening, traveling, reading, or engaging in spiritual or creative pursuits. Peaceful surroundings promote clearer thinking, better emotional regulation, and a deeper connection with oneself. Furthermore, emotional peace improves interpersonal relationships. When seniors eliminate the noise and negativity that once clouded their lives, they create space for more meaningful and nurturing connections. Friendships become more authentic, conversations become more fulfilling. Interactions are no longer about survival or conflict, they're about companionship, mutual respect, and shared values. Choosing emotional peace may involve difficult decisions like distancing from family members or lifelong friends who've become sources of negativity. It might require setting boundaries with people who are manipulative, self-centered, or emotionally draining. These choices can feel uncomfortable at first, but they are ultimately empowering. They signify a shift from living out of obligation to living with intention. In summary, emotional peace after 70 isn't a luxury, it's a form of self-preservation. It's about choosing well-being over drama, clarity over confusion, and inner calm over external chaos. Seniors who embrace this mindset often find their later years to be the most fulfilling and joyful of their entire lives. As people age, conserving energy, both physical and emotional, becomes essential. After 70, seniors are often more selective about how and where they invest their time. One of the most overlooked, yet critical, sources of energy depletion is toxic relationships. These are the relationships that leave you feeling drained, anxious, undervalued, or emotionally unstable. Whether it's a friend, family member, neighbor, or even a longtime acquaintance, these connections can silently sap your vitality over time. Toxic people often exhibit behaviors that continuously wear down your emotional strength. They may be overly negative, critical, manipulative, or self-centered. Sometimes their toxicity is subtle, masked as concern, or disguised by years of familiarity. But the effects are real: stress, anxiety, insomnia, guilt, and even depression. These emotional burdens directly impact physical health. Scientific studies have shown that chronic emotional stress contributes to inflammation, weakens the immune system, disrupts hormonal balance, and accelerates the aging process. Unlike in earlier decades, when responsibilities or social pressure may have forced you to tolerate difficult individuals, turning 70 often offers a new freedom: the freedom to choose peace. At this stage, it becomes clear that not everyone deserves a seat at your table. If someone consistently brings drama, tension, or emotional exhaustion into your life, it may be time to reevaluate their role. Many seniors hesitate to step back from toxic relationships because of long-standing ties or a sense of guilt. For instance, you might feel obligated to maintain contact with a negative sibling or an old friend who has become emotionally demanding. But staying in such relationships out of obligation does more harm than good. It depletes your limited reserves of emotional energy, leaving you less available for people and activities that actually uplift you. Letting go of these relationships doesn't always mean cutting ties entirely. It may simply mean creating healthy boundaries that could look like limiting contact, changing the subject when negativity arises, or choosing not to engage in emotional manipulation. The goal is to protect your emotional space so you can thrive rather than just survive. When seniors distance themselves from toxic people, they often report feeling lighter, freer, and more in control of their lives. Energy that was once consumed by tension and frustration can now be redirected toward things that nourish the soul, meaningful relationships, hobbies, spirituality, or even rest and self-care. These positive experiences contribute to better emotional regulation, improved physical health, and overall life satisfaction. After the age of 70, many seniors begin to reflect on their lives with greater clarity and appreciation. However, this reflection can be clouded by the presence of constant critics, those individuals who seem to always find fault, offer unsolicited advice, or diminish your choices, achievements, or personality. These people, whether family, friends, or peers, can slowly chip away at your self-esteem, often under the guise of just being honest or caring. The constant critic thrives on pointing out flaws. They rarely offer encouragement and often bring up past mistakes or perceived shortcomings. They might criticize your health choices, how you spend your retirement, your appearance, or even your social decisions. While they may believe they're helping, their behavior often causes more harm than good, especially at a time in life when emotional reassurance and personal dignity are more valuable than ever. Repeated exposure to criticism, especially from those close to you, can begin to erode your sense of self. You may start to second-guess your decisions, feel undeserving of happiness, or begin to withdraw from social situations. The result is a diminished self-worth, which can lead to depression, anxiety, and a lack of motivation. Seniors who endure constant criticism may also feel a loss of autonomy or control, which is detrimental to emotional independence in later years. Moreover, the critic's voice often becomes internalized. Even when they're not around, you might hear their words echoing in your head, making you more self-critical and hesitant to engage in new experiences or enjoy life freely. This inner critic, fed by the external one, can rob you of the peace and contentment you deserve after a lifetime of effort and endurance. One of the most important emotional shifts that can occur after 70 is the understanding that you don't need to justify your life to anyone. You've lived through decades of experiences, overcome challenges, and built a story uniquely your own. You have earned the right to live your remaining years with pride, comfort, and emotional safety. Removing or limiting access to constant critics is a powerful way to reclaim that right. It's also important to recognize that you are not obligated to keep negative people in your life just because of history, family ties, or shared circles. Creating distance from a critical setting, clear boundaries around what topics are acceptable can protect yourself. Responses like, "I'd prefer not to discuss that," or "I feel good about my decision," can help signal that their behavior is neither welcome nor appropriate. Choosing to surround yourself with those who uplift, respect, and celebrate you is not selfish, it's smart. It reinforces your confidence, promotes emotional wellness, and enhances your overall quality of life. In summary, constant critics are emotional toxins that slowly corrode your self-worth. After 70, life should be about honoring yourself, embracing your journey, and connecting with those who bring out your best. Letting go of critics opens the door to genuine peace, joy, and self-acceptance. As you age, especially beyond 70, your time and energy become some of your most precious resources. You begin to realize that not all interactions are equal. Some leave you uplifted, while others leave you completely drained. This is where the concept of energy vampires becomes important. These are individuals who drain your emotional, mental, or even physical energy every time you're around them, often without giving anything positive in return. Energy vampires are not always aggressive or mean-spirited. In fact, many may come across as sweet, vulnerable, or simply needy. They might constantly complain, seek your advice, but never act on it, dominate conversations, or expect you to be their emotional dumping ground. Over time, this creates an unbalanced relationship, one where your role becomes that of a caretaker, therapist, or fixer, rather than an equal friend or loved one. For seniors, this type of emotional labor can be exhausting. It's not just about the time lost, it's about the emotional depletion that comes with constantly managing someone else's mood, needs, or crises. Unlike in your younger years, when you may have had more energy or flexibility, in your 70s and beyond, stability.com and emotional balance become some of the most valuable aspects of daily life. You've spent decades navigating the challenges of work, family, health, and society. Now, you deserve peace. But that peace can be quickly disturbed by drama-fueled individuals, people who seem to thrive on chaos, conflict, and constant emotional tension. Their presence often leads to confusion, stress, and emotional fatigue, none of which are healthy or welcome at this stage of life. Drama-fueled people can take many forms: the chronic gossiper, the perpetual victim, the overreactor, or the instigator. These individuals constantly stir emotional tension, either by talking about others, exaggerating minor issues, or manufacturing conflict where none exists. Their lives seem to be a never-ending soap opera, and they pull everyone around them into the script whether you want to be involved or not. For seniors, involvement in such emotional turmoil can be particularly damaging. Research shows that high-stress interpersonal relationships increase the risk of heart problems, weakened immunity, anxiety, depression, and even cognitive decline. When someone disrupts your emotional balance with drama, it taxes both your mind and body fun more than you realize in the moment. Drama creators often lack emotional self-awareness and seek attention or control through their chaotic behavior. They may guilt-trip you into taking sides, pressure you to react to gossip, or use emotional manipulation to keep you involved in their personal crises. The result is that your peaceful life becomes entangled in unnecessary emotional noise. Conversations feel tense, interactions leave you unsettled, and time that could be spent on joy is wasted managing someone else's instability. It's important to recognize that, after 70, your time and emotional energy are limited and sacred. Allowing drama into your life can delay your goals, disrupt your routines, and take a serious toll on your well-being. More importantly, you are not required to participate in anyone else's chaos. You can politely withdraw from conversations filled with gossip or conflict. You can change the subject, limit your availability, or even express that you no longer want to engage in negative or emotionally turbulent discussions. Creating distance from drama-fueled individuals isn't cruel, it's protective. You're not abandoning anyone. You're choosing to prioritize your mental health. In fact, when you step away from drama, you often find more room for joy, clarity, and connection with those who respect your boundaries and share your values. Surrounding yourself with calm, emotionally stable people creates an environment where laughter, trust, and sincerity flourish. These relationships reinforce your sense of security and emotional strength, helping you feel grounded and uplifted rather than scattered and tense. As people age, especially beyond 70, they often reflect on relationships through a more discerning and emotional lens. They may look back on connections built over decades and question whether those bonds are truly healthy. One of the most harmful and difficult relationship patterns to identify is emotional manipulation, particularly when it's disguised as love, concern, or loyalty. Manipulators often exploit guilt and obligation, keeping seniors emotionally trapped, stressed, and unsure of how to assert themselves. Manipulative individuals are skilled at making you feel responsible for their happiness, choices, or well-being. They may say things like, "After all, I've done for you," or "If you loved me, you'd do this for me," pressuring you to comply with their wishes even when it goes against your own comfort, needs, or values. This emotional blackmail can be subtle, especially when it comes from adult children, siblings, longtime friends, or spouses. Because of the emotional history involved, seniors may find it especially hard to say no, or even recognize that they're being manipulated. Guilt is a powerful emotional weapon. It can keep you in one-sided relationships, drain your energy, and cause you to sacrifice your well-being to maintain someone else's comfort. Obligation is often layered on top of guilt, especially in cultures or families that value sacrifice and duty. While responsibility and compassion are admirable qualities, they should not be used to control or coerce someone into submission. Manipulators thrive on this imbalance. What makes this behavior so damaging is that it slowly erodes your sense of agency. You may begin to feel like your life isn't fully your own, that you exist to serve someone else's emotional needs or expectations. This can lead to resentment, anxiety, low self-worth, and even depression. Over time, it chips away at your independence, leaving you emotionally exhausted and trapped in patterns you no longer have the strength or desire to maintain. After 70, this dynamic becomes especially problematic because it takes away from the peace, freedom, and self-fulfillment that should define your later years. You've spent a lifetime working, caregiving, compromising, and fulfilling duties. Now is the time to put yourself first, not in a selfish way, but in a healthy, self-respecting one. That means being able to say no without guilt, to define your own priorities, and to detach from those who continuously manipulate your emotions. Recognizing manipulation is the first step. The next is learning to set clear boundaries and stick to them. This might involve limiting contact, being direct about your needs, or seeking support from a therapist, counselor, or trusted friend. In some cases, it may even mean ending the relationship altogether. In the later stages of life, especially after age 70, emotional balance, peace of mind, and personal joy become more important than ever. One of the most powerful tools seniors can use to protect these gifts is the consistent practice of healthy boundaries. While setting boundaries may seem difficult, especially in long-term relationships or with family members, it is one of the most empowering actions you can take to protect your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Boundaries are not walls, they are guidelines that define how others are allowed to treat you, how much of your time and energy you're willing to give, and what behaviors you will or won't accept. After 70, many individuals begin to realize that they've spent years, or even decades, putting others' needs before their own. While caregiving, compromise, and service are meaningful parts of life, they should not come at the cost of personal health or happiness. Healthy boundaries can protect you from a range of damaging behaviors: manipulation, constant criticism, emotional dependency, and drama, among others. They help filter out relationships that leave you drained and invite in those that are balanced, respectful, and emotionally uplifting. In other words, boundaries act as a shield for your peace, allowing you to enjoy your retirement years on your terms. Some seniors struggle with setting boundaries because they fear conflict, disapproval, or losing relationships. But the truth is, any relationship that is threatened by healthy boundaries was never truly balanced to begin with. The people who truly care for you will understand and respect your limits. They'll appreciate your honesty and your efforts to prioritize your health and peace. Practical examples of healthy boundaries in late life include saying no to social invitations or obligations that cause stress or exhaustion, limiting time spent with negative or emotionally draining people, refusing to engage in gossip, family conflict, or emotionally manipulative conversations, prioritizing personal health, rest, or hobbies over the demands of others, being clear about financial boundaries with children or relatives. Boundaries don't have to be harsh or cold. They can be set with kindness and confidence. For instance, you might say, "I care about you, but I need to take a break from this topic," or "I won't be available this weekend. I'm taking time to rest." These statements affirm your needs without inviting guilt or conflict. The benefit of living with strong boundaries is immense. You'll likely experience less stress, better emotional clarity, improved sleep, stronger self-esteem, and more fulfilling relationships. More importantly, boundaries allow you to shape the life you want in your golden years, not one controlled by others' expectations. One of the most powerful yet underappreciated truths about growing older, especially after the age of 70, is that letting go is not a loss, but a gain. Letting go of toxic, unbalanced, or draining relationships doesn't mean you're closing yourself off from people. It means you're making room for something better. In fact, true emotional freedom begins the moment you release what no longer serves you, creating space for deeper, healthier, and more meaningful connections in your later years. Many seniors find themselves holding on to relationships out of habit, history, or fear. Perhaps it's a lifelong friendship that has become one-sided, a family member who constantly creates drama, or a neighbor who thrives on negativity. These ties, although familiar, often carry emotional weight that drags you down, blocking the very peace and joy you deserve in retirement. Letting go doesn't necessarily mean confrontation or cutting ties harshly. It may simply mean reducing emotional investment, spending less time with certain individuals, or reframing your expectations. You can still wish someone well without allowing them access to your emotional world. This shift is subtle but significant. It tells the world and yourself that your peace matters. Once this emotional clutter is cleared, something remarkable happens. You begin to attract genuine connections that align with your current values and needs. These are people who support you without draining you, who uplift you in